At this point, we've got two things left on the agenda. We have an optional MyECheck demo with Eric. We have an MyECheck app demo. So anybody that wants to do that with Eric and I, we'll do that essentially after the meeting. And right now we'll spend the rest of the meeting here in a Q&A session, fielding and taking any questions that you may have. So
let's open the floor by show of hands.
Okay.
I'd like to address the simple file thing from months ago.
Sure.
You guys put the PR out, and then there was some stumbling and some backpedaling about the way it was worded. Was it because of an ACH issue, or was simple file doesn't want?
Yeah, they didn't want their. That's the big issue with press releases. Is they don't want their current vendors to know that they're done with them.
So the second part of that question is, they're not necessarily dumping them. We're just maybe getting their new customers, right? It can still ACH can still have the money they have.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that they have a relationship with their current supplier, and they're transitioning from that relationship to us. So even though it's may only be a portion of the transactions over time, it's still a transition business.
Yeah.
So that's typically the issue that we have. Now, just to speak to PRs on that issue, in every one of our contracts, we have never signed a contract once that does not have an authorization for us to issue a press release. Every single contract that a customer signs authorizes us to issue a press release that describes the nature of the relationship. So every one of our press releases is authorized. Now, that said, not everybody reads the contracts they sign. So we have to make it a special point. Sometimes we're dealing with somebody in the company and they approve the press release, but their PR department isn't notified, or their CEO isn't notified, and they get pissed off. My policy is that we're a public company. We have a fiduciary responsibility to our shareholders to share information that's pertinent and material in a timely fashion. So if we sign a deal, we're going to put out a press release, unless they ask us not to, specifically ask us not to. And a lot of times they do, or they'll ask us to hold off. We're in that situation with a few right now where we're holding off because they've asked us to, or we just won't put out a press release. So
In the future, we'd have to put an 8K out though, right? Without a press release. I mean, there'll still be
materialized
for us, but it might not necessarily go to the public, right?
Well, we'll go to the public if it goes in DK.
No, I mean like PR, like newswire.
Well,
I'll give you an example. Simple file would not be an 8K at this stage of the game.
No, I mean in the future.
If it was, well, no, even in the future, it doesn't meet the material requirement under the 8K. If we signed a deal with Facebook or Apple or
Microsoft,
Best Buy, or any of those folks, those would be material agreements. When we sign, they'll be material agreements. So that's the threshold of an 8K, is a material event that's going to affect financials or projections of financials of the company. Simple file is not large enough to make a determination of our earnings yet. I don't yet. So I just want to clarify what an 8K is going to be. That would never have been 8K.
Gotcha.
Yet.
No, but I gotcha.
Who else?
I got one. You mentioned
Steve.
Smalls. You said that we might have to implement an option to do mobile image check capture.
Yes.
Does that fall underneath the patent, or?
Well, that's a really good question, and I'm not well versed enough in patent law to be able to answer that. I think that would have to be determined in court, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not the intent of the patent, to be perfectly honest with you. The intent of the patent is to just have data input through a graphical user interface. Now, I agree it could be under the patent, in which case every bank is infringing. So that's interesting, but I don't want to go there because that's just like too much for us to bite off right now. So we have to take little nibbles first and then bigger chunks as we go. Yeah.
I got one more question on that.
Sure.
So you were saying you can load cash if you don't have a bank account.
Yes.
So how would you load the cash without a bank account? You have
Cash loading stations like Green Dot, for example, Green Pay, you can load cash right at the dispensary. You can take cash into the dispensary, and you can have it put onto your MyECheck app account. In addition to that, the MyECheck apps will have cash loading stations at MoneyGram, Green Dot, 7-Elevens, Walmart, everywhere.
Gotcha.
Tens of thousands of locations to load cash.
More than likely, the whole ATM network will be in accepting cash.
Ultimately,
At the,
you'll be able to put cash in it everywhere.
Gotcha.
Eric?
How long does the typical integration period take?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, there is no typical integration. I would say 2 weeks is what it should take for somebody that does it right away, doesn't rush it, does it right, reads the documents, has a tech call with Steve. 2 to 3 weeks is probably the standard integration time for like a web services integration. Obviously, the mobile app's a completely different thing. That's kind of the future. So that is just a download and registration thing. That's real time adoption.
One more question. I noticed on the website when you had career opportunities in there, you had a statement in there at one time that said, you could be a part of the sales team from your own hometown type of thing. And
Yes.
What was that all about?
Well, we now have a reseller program, if you will, where we are contracting with independent sales agents. Prior, we were just hiring employees, and we've just now implemented as of last week, if you will, a new program. We planned to do it, but it never got implemented previously, so it just now got implemented.
And how do you find out more information about
Talk to me.
Okay.
You have my number. Everybody has my number, right? Everyone got my card? Oh, should I give it to one way? Actually, let's get those out now. Why don't you guys give out the bags? Shannon?
They get different sizes of things, I'm sure.
Oh,
We
all
have
right,
gift
Pat.
bags for everybody. The plan was we were leaving for the day or ending it, come and see us. We have various sizes.
This t-shirts and bags, so they're mostly large or extra large. There's a few mediums and a few double XLs.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So Ed, we'll make sure Ed's card's available. Obviously, everybody
My
needs
card's in everybody's bag.
You don't see CEOs put their cards in people's
That's
bags.
my cell phone number on that.
So,
Yes.
I have a quick question. I work in the healthcare industry, so that's a huge market from the sense of hospitals cutting POs for supplies, but also from a patient perspective when they have to pay their bills.
Right.
A lot of them pay for credit card or don't
Yeah.
pay. So is that a target?
That's a huge target, and we are unfortunately not well versed in that industry and not well resourced, if you will, to go after that industry. So that would be something definitely in our plan going forward to look to get into. And I mean, I think that whole industry, the whole medical industry, even Obamacare, and the government website.
Well, the percentages the hospitals could save just from transactions, since they're getting
Yeah.
fined by the government for readmissions, it's huge dollars.
Any payment system that is credit card based is a ripoff for both the consumer and the merchant. There is no scenario where that's a good deal, in my opinion. And in every one of those cases, we can replace that and provide a much lower cost, safer, faster payment method.
Let me answer that. Probably what would happen in that industry and what's going to happen in a lot of these different industries that we obviously are not experts in, and a partner will approach us and say, hey, we are a healthcare expert and we would like to use your services. And that's where our adoption will be done through a third-party partnership, joint venture, That type of
That's
situation.
pretty much our growth strategies,
Right.
partners, value-added partners, where they take our service and they're bringing something to us as well. And that, that's, as Bill said, how we'll get in that space. Down there?
Yeah, this is a lighter question. What does it mean when the company's webpage is down? Because as soon as it goes down, there's 100 emails going out all across the nation. Is it a conspiracy? What's going on?
The website up and down often. I'll get into the technicalities of it with you. It has to do with web caching, and when there's a change made to the site, some of the servers take a few minutes to catch up to that. And so you'll go there and you'll see a page you don't expect. Typically, if you just hit a refresh, either immediately or in 5 minutes, you'll have your page back. And that's something that we're working on. We've been making so many changes, and there's so much new content going in almost daily. That's kind of been an issue, and I think once we get a little more static and through some of the server upgrades we have coming, we're going to see a little bit more of a rock solid.
Good, because usually someone says, "Oh, the app's going out tomorrow because it's down tonight." So that's yeah.
Generally speaking, it's related to system upgrades. We're upgrading our systems, making them more stable for our growth.
And that includes adding servers too. That's the part of the process, and server upgrades. Things are going so fast right now that literally, I mean, we could order a server and we need it today, and we won't get it for another week. That's just an example. So.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Oh, Ken Martin.
Yeah, back to the loading of money at this, whether it be like Green Dot, whatever, and as MyECheck evolves into that, is, as you know, there's fees involved on both ends of that. Like somebody goes to load money, and a lot of this with the unbanked or the underbanked. I mean, it's a huge burden on them. Like if they're paying $1.50 to get into it, then $4 to take money out. They go into something to get $40 or put $40 on. It's costing them $3 or $4 or $5 to do this. As an extra value-added thing, is MyECheck, will that be also one of their priorities, where it's a cheaper expense to them? As far as that, or is that more control on the other end?
The fees that we control will always be very, very low.
Okay.
Always. It'll be our highest fee that we will ever charge anybody, merchant or consumer, is 25 cents, period. We will never charge anybody anything more than that, unless it's a unique situation for a custom application. And then other factors come into play because you have other technologies involved that have costs. So if it's our standard product, we're at 25 cents max. Now, that said, other companies charge their own fees for their services. So our job is to find and partner with those companies at the lowest fees. And we'll continue to do that. The other thing is that industry is growing, and like that's going to replace, in my opinion, a lot of the retail banking that we see today. Okay, so that's where it's going. So the costs on all that stuff are going to go down, because it's not even going to be used by underbanked and unbanked. The new generation, kids that are growing up, prefer that type of methodology for their money, the way they spend and use their money, rather than the traditional retail banking, brick and mortar scenario that we all grew up with. So that's all going to change. Those costs will come down dramatically.
So if you, it sounds like you envision actually having MyECheck as like I take all my money and put it in MyECheck, whatever wallet.
That sounds good to me.
I mean, it's a possibility and probability. Would it be insured through?
Yeah, and let me kind of explain. The way our mobile backends work, or these wallets work, is typically what you have is one bank account, one master bank account that is covered by FDIC insurance, and you have sub-accounts within that account. So your money's actually in a bank. It's just not controlled by the bank in the sense that you don't have a unique relationship with that bank. You're aggregated with other users into one account. So it is insured, but it's not FDIC insured. Typically they have third-party insurers, or they have things like reserve accounts that the bank requires. So if they, let's say for example, they have a $10 million wallet, they might be required to have 3 or 4 million in a reserve account and then have insurance with Lloyd's to cover the balance or something.
Rob brought up a good point. It's kind of like an escrow account, but it's your money. So.
Well, I want to sign up as soon as that is.
We have sign-up forms at the door. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken? Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, did you have a question?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I got the mic. So you
Well,
got the
since
mic.
I've got it, I'll
Yeah,
pass this off. I have it on
I
my.
didn't notice either. Sorry.
What's your relationship currently with Bank of America?
We have no direct contractual relationship with Bank of America, nor do we have a direct contractual relationship with any bank. What we do is we deposit items into banks on behalf of our customers, into their accounts. So our customers have accounts at Bank of America, and we have a technical integration with Bank of America, which means that it's really not an integration in the traditional sense. What it means is that we have the ability to create files that are formatted in a way that Bank of America's system can accept them. And we have authorization to deposit them in that person's account. So each time we have a new merchant with an account at Bank of America, we essentially have to establish a new connection with them for that specific merchant. And we do what's called image cash loader deposits. So we create batches, if you will, formatted in a Check 21 file format, send them directly to Bank of America. They get credited instantly to the user's or the merchant's bank account. And then they're pre-formatted in Bank of America's file format, so they automatically clear without having to go through another process, if you will. They just automatically flow through and clear through the clearing system, and the funds become available by midnight in that account. So that's our relationship with all banks. So any relationship that we have with a bank will not be a direct contractual relationship. It'll just be a technical relationship whereby they're allowing us to deposit checks into their customers' accounts, our mutual customers' accounts, using our technology.
So does MyECheck have a generic front-end system, online front-end system, where I could, say, go into MyECheck's online system and enter in a request?
No, we don't operate our own system. We only provide services to other companies.
So the other company would have to develop that?
Yeah, and you know, we are dancing around very carefully the whole money transfer and banking regulations. So we don't want to get in a situation where we're regulated in any way, shape, or form. And we do that by not handling money, we just handle data. As soon as you touch money and handle money, you're regulated by the government. We don't want that. So we have partners that handle money for us. And that's part of some of these delays. It's like if we wanted to have our own back-end, banking back-end, and be our own cash management system, we could get money transfer licenses and do that. But we don't want to because that exposes us to risk. And that's not our business model. We're a data processor, a technology company, and services provider. So we're not a money transmitter or a money processor. We're a data processor. So there's a difference, and we do it strategically to stay out of the regulatory environment.
We've got about 5 minutes, and Ken, you got anything? Thank you for the question. That's a very good question.
I have a question that follows up on that. Ed, you were talking about U.S. Bank who left us because of GreenPay.
Yeah.
Did they give us an ultimatum? And then my second question would be, were there other banks that have come to the board and expressed concerns about that business?
The marijuana business? Just the only one that we've had any experience with is Bank of America. And it's ironic because GreenPay has an account at Bank of America, but MyECheck doesn't. GreenPay got approved for an account, MyECheck didn't. But just for an account there. And basically they did due diligence on MyECheck. They saw the press release that went out about
But they don't really, did they say that specifically? US Bank, yes, so they did. They did say that specifically, the marijuana.
That was the only bank we've had any experience with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Bank of America, it was US Bank.
Yeah, yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, we've got Ken over here real quick.
Cynthia?
One other question, as you were stating that Apple, you know, it's all, you have to have an iPhone 6. And you have, with MyEPay, is it going to be more generic over any phone, any device?
Any Android or Apple device.
What about with the resurgence of BlackBerry? What about the new BlackBerry system that's come out? Will it be functional with that?
Raul?
Yeah, possibly yes.
Brilliant answer.
I don't know if BlackBerry's going to be around.
BlackBerry also uses the Java environment, so Android is also using the Java environment. So our app currently is on the Android platform, it's all Java. So most likely, with a little bit of coding and using frameworks like PhoneGap or Cordova, we will be able to run that.
One more question for me. You have a lot of people in the room going to watch this video. So what's the company's official stance of, like if we go to our recurring payment companies like AAA for insurance, Dish Network, do you want us doing that, or do you want us not to push back on this?
I would like you to get a contact, name, number, and give it to Tony or Bill.
Okay.
That would be the best way to proceed.
That way.
Yeah, Bill McClure. That's the best way now. If anyone that's interested in becoming an independent sales rep for MyECheck, you can apply and send in your resume and specifically say you're looking for that position. What we will do if we agree that it's a good fit, you'll get an independent contractors agreement, and then you'll schedule demos for us to provide. We'll get on a conference call and give a demo, kind of like this, for the first few presentations, and we'll follow up and close the deals along with you. Like we'll do it together for the first few contracts, and then kind of wean you off on your own after that. But we want to make sure that the only reason why we haven't jumped into this before is we want to control the message and control the information that's getting out there. So we have only accurate information. Everybody's getting the same information. It's consistent, it's accurate. There's no need for misinformation. It's really important that our customers fully understand what we do. And we don't sign anybody up that doesn't go through a demo anymore. You have to go through a demo before you sign up for our services, because a lot of times they'll sign up and then they won't, 3 weeks later it's like, okay, so how does this ACH thing work? Yeah. All right, any more questions?
Oh, just one more. And
Sure,
this is
go ahead.
a question that everybody is going to want to know the answer to.
Yeah, we'll get you on one more.
Okay. You say that there are some clients who don't want you to divulge that they're in a relationship with us. Could you give us a number of, not a name, but a number of how many clients you've got right now that you can't tell us about? You did want to know that, didn't you?
Not many.
Not many?
Just a few. It's not, and nobody that is of any material, huge material value. There's some good deals there. There's some good revenue deals, but it's not. We don't have to deal with Apple, right?
Of course. Yeah.
I wish we did, and like I said, they're on our target list.
Yeah.
By the way, we have targets. So we have top 5 tech targets, top 5 bank targets, top 5 mobile wallet targets. So we're targeting the biggest industry players, going after them, and we're also going after them at different levels. So we're going after senior management, we're going after the tech side, we're going after the product development side. We're also going after from the PR side. So we're just in their face. We're getting in everybody's face as much as we can now. It's been a little early for us because we pretty much had to get past this before we're really viable enough to do business with these big companies. But after this, and really the Form 10 and the things that come after that, we're really much better positioned to go after these larger accounts and have success, to be perfectly honest with you.
Last question.
Well, go ahead.
I just want to know if you, maybe I missed it, when Green Green Pays would go live?
Well, the MJ Pay app system may go live in November, okay? It's scheduled for January. So if it goes in November, it'll be early, November, December. There's also a chance that we may launch another app on the Freedom Pay that has limited capabilities prior to January. So there may be some surprises. I'm not saying anything officially at this point, but you know, we're trying. It's the kind of thing that, you know, if we can get there, we'll get there. You know, if not, it'll be January. But January was a very, very conservative. I didn't want to have another miss date. I'm going to say one more thing on.
I got one more question.
Yeah, but hang on. One more thing on deadlines. And, you know, I've been criticized for putting out deadlines and missing them. I'm going to say this about deadlines. I'm still going to continue to put deadlines, whether we make them or not. And the reason is that, maybe to a lesser extent. The reason is this, is that I find that unless you put a deadline on something, it doesn't get done. Or it doesn't get done as quickly as you want it to. And there may be some negative repercussions if you miss that deadline, but I find that the positives far outweigh the negatives. And you always will get the project done faster if you have a deadline. If you miss the deadline and you're past the deadline, then your speed doubles. So, anyway, I just wanted to make that comment.
Let's get that last question.
Last question, Evan.
Yeah, you've signed several new clients, partners over the last few months. How long from the time that you sign them do they get integrated and you start realizing revenues from them? And if so, will we see additional revenues from these partners in the third quarter financials?
Okay, that's a good question. It really varies. On a web services integration, as I mentioned earlier, it can be done in a matter of a couple of weeks. We're really structured now to handle large accounts. And those are the kind of accounts that we're going after. So larger accounts will typically have a longer sales cycle, a longer integration cycle. I want to say it's typically 3 to 4 weeks for a larger account by the time they sign, by the time they get live and integrated. But that can be delayed with their bank. And the biggest obstacle right now that we're up against, to be perfectly honest with you, has been banks. And, you know, as I mentioned, things are changing dramatically on the banking side in a lot of ways, and probably more ways than I can get into now at the end of the meeting. But they're changing for the positive. And it's not that there's issues necessarily integrating with the banks, it's just getting the banks to follow our timeline. They're not as anxious to move as we are. So we're, you know, it's not that they, it's like, sometimes it takes 2 weeks to get a return phone call from somebody at a bank. So you'll call out, you through messages, and 2 weeks later you'll call back. So it's like that. So it's frustrating in that respect because you don't really have responsiveness from banks. Banks and government are very similar in that respect. They just...
And your answer on the question, a lot of the bigger deals were signed late in, you know, third quarter ended September 30th. So obviously a lot of the bigger deals got signed in the month of September, and so you probably won't see the revenue until.
We're anticipating bragging revenue in 2015. So 2014, we're putting the deals together. Yeah, we've got revenue to keep us going, and we've got money in the bank. So that's all we need right now. You know, it's more important right now to make the deals and get the technical integrations done. The revenue will come. You know, we're making the right deals, we're building the right products, and we're doing the integrations. So everything's coming together really well. I think 2015 is going to be huge in revenue for us. Really big.
So that's about a wrap on it.
Okay, so we're out of time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. wants to view an